Hi Capricorn, welcome to your Lunar Eclipse in Aquarius special with me, Raphael.rey from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. So, Lunar Eclipse, worth mentioning a few things before we delve straight in. But before we do, I would like to bless these cards and the messages that come through, as well as these notes, with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse is about culminations, completions, endings. It brings things to the end of their natural cycle. And when you have a lunar eclipse, you know, it's like a reset button in that specific area of our lives. Now for you guys, this is happening in your second house, which is all to do with your money, your materials, the money you earn from your job, the money that is yours, that are your savings. It also has a lot to do with your value system, what you value, how you value it, why you value it. And it will see you looking at this stuff like really from an emotional perspective and getting some really deep needed clarity on that. Now it's worth noting that at the time of an eclipse, everybody's emotions are heightened, everybody's emotions are really close to the surface. Now you want to add to that the fact that we've got a Mars retrograde. Mars, passion, energy, drive, assertiveness, how we step forward in the world, how we assert ourselves in the world is going retrograde. Mars hates to go retrograde because it's all about forward progression. So when it goes retrograde, that energy turns inward. And when that energy turns inward, what it effectively does, I believe, is it makes us more strategic and it makes us more precise. It allows us to really internalize that and utilize that energy, and it starts to make the mind work in a better, not necessarily a better way, but it makes your mind work in a way where you become more strategic. You start to plan more. You start to think about what's going to happen off of the back of certain actions. You think more about your actions, I believe. The issue is that because that energy is going inwards, it makes us all a bit more irritable. So you've got the lunar eclipse, which is going to heighten emotions anyway. Then on top of that, you've got it conjunct the Mars retrograde, which is making everybody irritable as it is. You've got a double hit of that energy. So be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And remember, we are all collectively facing that same sort of internal energy. So it's not just you, but equally it's not just them. You know, this is going to be all of us. And then finally, you have this little guy here, the South Node. Now, the South Node takes around 20 years to travel the zodiac. So it doesn't happen very often. It's a rare occurrence. And this one's happening conjunct the lunar eclipse in Aquarius, conjunct Mars retrograde. I mean, I don't know when the last time that happened, but I know the last time Mars went retrograde in Aquarius was, I think it was like between the, I think it might have been the 30s, it might have been the 50s, but either way, that's still a bloody long time ago. So think about that. This is a really rare opportunity that you have. Now, because the South Node is about karmic release, it's about what we're letting go of in this lifetime, what we choose to eliminate from our lives. Mars, acting retrograde, rules sharp objects, surgeons, all of those things. So this culminates to be a deeply eliminative sort of energy. This is about what you cut away, what you let go of, what you truly decide no longer serves you, and you can make the conscious decision in your emotions to observe your emotions enough in this space to really remove something from your life and not allow it back into your space, which is amazing because it's like you're really cutting or carving something out. It could even be that you're carving a new value system in the second house, carving, you know, the knife there with Mars, second house, the value system, looking at your self-esteem. This could see you really eliminating those feelings of I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this, or the stuff that has happened to me that's been really challenging, I do deserve because of who I am. You will now be coming into a brand new era of how you truly value yourself. The second house is about, like I said, it's your money, it's your values, what you value, how you value it. Brings you culminations of sorts, and see you freeing yourself of low vibrational thoughts in regards to your finances. In order to truly manifest anything, you really need to be in a pure space internally. You need to be coming from a point of reference to the universe. You need to broadcast to the universe, I am worthy, I am worth it. and what I want to manifest must come into my life because it must. Because I am worth it, because I understand that what I bring to the world is of true value. And when you can come from that point of reference, that's the signal that you send out to the universe, and that's the signal that it will bounce back at you. So this is going to see you getting rid of any negative thoughts about money. It will bring you, in effect, a new beginning in your finances. It will see you finding new and ever increasingly different ways to make money, which is really exciting. It will also see you releasing any limiting thoughts about money. It will see you looking at your self-worth and self-esteem. While it's conjunct the South Node, some of your values that you hold around about money, you'll be able to let them go. And it will see you, in another respect, it will see you being willing to cut your losses and move on. Now that's a really interesting thought, you know, and I've obviously written these notes for a reason, is to, you know, to use as a framework, as a reference. But the truth of the matter, I guess, is exactly that, you know. And obviously you've got this whole eliminative energy squaring the Uranus in the, I believe it's your 5th house, which is all to do with your fun and your enjoyment. It's all to do with your pleasure, your joy, and your creativity. And, you know, this could see you really asking yourself, what do I want to do that is going to be enjoyable? And more importantly, how can I, you know, it's going to be about pleasure versus quality, versus values. How can you inject more of your values into what you do for pleasure? You know, Capricorns are very, you guys are quite tough on yourselves, and you're quite serious a lot of the time. So when that does break and people see, you know, the funny sort of quirky you that's underneath that, everybody's kind of like, oh, okay, which is great. This is going to see that side of your nature really wrestling with the part of you that wants to, you know, that wants to achieve and wants to accomplish, because that's what you're about. But ultimately, your 2nd house, this kind of, to me, although it's not 4th house stuff, you know, the 5th house is the house of children, and we all have a divine inner being that is very childlike. And that being sometimes needs to be nurtured. I believe that this will give you a really good look at where your limiting self-esteem issues come from. It will allow you to really look at your childhood upbringing in terms of your monetary values. So it will see you harking back to the past, but it will also see you looking into your heart and saying, right, what do I value? And how can I make more money and more abundance and more wealth for myself by tapping into what I truly value? You know, it's going to be an interesting one for you guys, because, you know, there's a lot happening here for everybody. The trine between the moon and Venus as well could see surprise gift coming from afar, or it could also see news or a need for spontaneous travel arise, and it could be something that brings a genuine blessing. Yeah, you know, 5th house is travel as well. It's, you know, it's not necessarily in terms of like 9th house, like long distance travel, or 3rd house, short trips, but, you know, it's about the pleasure that you get from, you know, other things and other people. It's about joy and enjoyment, and 5 is the, you know, the number of travel, so I'm going with that. So looking into your old limiting beliefs about money and about your self-worth and your self-esteem, understanding that there is a brand new era of finances, you know, abundance, prosperity and wealth coming into your life, understanding that you're going to need to balance the need between what you know, what you want to achieve in terms of your monetary success, but also balance it with what would actually be good for your heart and what would be good for your creative soul. You know, what would bring you more joy and more pleasure. And finally, it will see you asking yourself, are these beliefs about money and not having money coming from me, or are they coming from my childhood or something that somebody once told me? Finally, your tarot card for this eclipse, you get the Strength card. Interesting, because the Strength card rules Leo. Leo rules the heart, rules the 5th house. Excuse me. This is asking you what you value. How can you bring more pleasure into your life? How can you give over to more pleasure in your life? It can see spontaneous travel coming up. It can see people inviting you to things that are of enjoyment. It can see people saying to you, you know, come and do this with me. It's really frivolous, but so what? Go along. You might well find more there than you anticipated. And more importantly, you might find that actually the things that bring you joy in small everyday ways can become very, very lucrative for you if you just give over to that part of yourself. The Strength card also reminds you that you have the strength, and more importantly, you need to have the courage to stand up for and believe in yourself and know that you are worth everything that comes your way. That is for your highest good. I wish you an abundance of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance itself. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. I would be eternally grateful for it. For those of you that are continued subbies, I love you, Capricorn, you know I do. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you haven't already, don't forget to push the notification button so that you get notified whenever I post new videos. You can reach me for personal tarot readings on the email address below. There's some other links and stuff down there as well to interact with the Radiant Reality community in other ways that you may want to. Take care, and I will see you very soon.